I'm actually glad you brought that up because, like, especially me not being a father yet, and if I ever have to go through a situation where my future wife, we may have a child and she may go through something like that, that's actually some really good advice for new parents, for me to go through to, like, in a way, support her, like, get things done around the house, make it easier for her to just get through these kind of moments, hard moments. So I'm glad that you brought that up because I actually was like my last question on like what is some big like pieces of advice that you could give to new parents, and especially with becoming a new parent, like for both of y'all, like postpartum depression was like a huge challenge for y'all. And last thing I know, with Madison, you have your husband, and with Adrian, I know you were kind of doing it alone, but like I said, just knowing the importance of having somebody there, a support system, whether it's your spouse or family member or anybody like that, is definitely very important to have because it's also you definitely also you have to face those battles like emotionally alone, but then but having that support system behind you, knowing that like you that they're gonna help take care of the things around you and your surroundings and all. And also it's good that that you've even told your friends that like if you're pregnant or if you're gonna go through postpartum, if you feel like you're gonna go through postpartum depression, like reach out to me because like I said, sometimes people can may almost feel like they're being a burden to somebody else that the may not have gone through that. So Les, I'm glad that from your personal experience that you want to be a help to those that have gone through that. And Les, I appreciate so much for both of y'all bringing these two things up, these big things up, because it's a definitely the challenge itself is just there right at the beginning. Les, it's I appreciate that.
It really is. And another thing about, I don't know if Madison ever went through this, but I did. I had antipartum depression, which is depression while pregnant.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yes, it was. I don't, to me, I say this and I don't mean it like pregnancy is a bad thing, but I say all the time, I will never have another child because my experience with labor, my experience with pregnancy, my experience, just being a single mother has been not necessarily the worst. It's just been really, really, really hard because going through antipartum depression, which I didn't even know was a thing until I was like maybe like 6 or 7 months pregnant. And I I had this nurse who would come out and she would like check on me every week or so. And I'm telling her like I cry a lot. I'm crying a lot. And it's not necessarily somebody's done something to me or
It's not the typical pregnancy
it's,
hormone.
it's not. I'm telling her, I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I cannot, like, I'm crying a lot and I can't seem to figure out why. And she's like, well, have you ever heard of antipartum depression? And I'm like, no, I don't. I know what anti means. I know that's, like before or, current. And I'm like, is that like, I mean, because I have depression anyway. Is that what that is? And she's like, no, it's not really talked about a lot, but it happens more than people think. A lot of women are depressed, even women who don't usually suffer from depression. A lot of women are depressed while they're pregnant, and they think that it's just some sadness that'll go away, or something that can be treated. And she's like, it's not that easy to get rid of. I see, because she had, it's empty, baby. She had a client who was going through the same thing, and she didn't know about it until the girl had unalived herself while she was pregnant.
Mm.
And she said that her mom had told her that she had been crying a lot. She didn't know why. She wasn't really taking care of herself as far as hygiene and things. So she just thought that maybe it was because of her I guess her relationship at the time or something. And she just didn't know. So she was like, I'm glad you said something because I don't think I could have taken another death like that. And I'm telling her, well, I don't think it was that bad to where I would, contemplate that type of, drastic reaction. But I do understand how women who are pregnant and they do, unalive them. I understand how it can get to that point because it's not like regular depression. Antipartum depression is not like regular depression. It's a little bit worse, but not as worse as like postpartum or postpartum psychosis. It's just it's more of, I think that one is more of a chemical imbalance than an emotional imbalance or like a mental imbalance. I think that because once they started me on like a low dose antidepressant, I was fine. It was, I could get up and do things while I was pregnant. I could, not, I wasn't crying as often. Of course I had, those pregnant emotions and, I would cry over little things like not being able to open my sauce from McDonald's or something. But I think that one is more controllable by medicine than postpartum depression is. That one, antidepressant is just a lot of, I even when you're pregnant, it's a lot of un like unsurety, like especially if you're a new person, you never had a baby before, you don't know anything about babies. It can be like a lot of pressure, a lot of what if I can't do this? What if, I mess up? Or, it's and that's with any parent, but that cope with antepartum depression was like the worst 6 months, first 6 months of my life. I don't wish that on anybody. It's just a lot. It's a lot to do and go through as a single mother, kind of at the time. But like it was a lot. And I tell my friends, if you ever feel like that, or if I ever see you going into that type of, if I see the signs that I had, I'm gonna, say something like, hey, I think you may need to tell your doctor that you are going through these things because I don't want that happening. I don't want any of my friends unaliving themselves or hurting their babies. I don't want them, just wallowing in sadness for 10 months. It's already stressful on your body. You don't need it to be stressful on your mind as well. It's some one of them has to be balanced. One of them has to be, like you have to be in a good headspace if you're going to be pregnant. You're already going through a lot of bodily changes, physical changes, going through a lot of emotional changes because your hormones again are up and down. But you don't need all of that cope with any part of depression, postpartum, any type of depression. It's all I tell that you have to say something. You have to. It can't. You can't just think you're a burden because I know the feeling. You're not a burden. If you are, if you feel like you can't do this and you feel like you're getting to the point where you want to not do this anymore, let me know or let your doctor know, anybody know, because we don't need you hurting yourself or hurting your baby because of something that can be fixed with just one pill, to me.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm glad that you have brought this up because like I said, there definitely needs to be awareness like so when it comes to these kind of things because it's so hush hush, not everybody wants to talk about it, but like so really just having that simple conversation can like lead you a long way and it could do better for you in the long run. And like I say, even for like new moms that go through this that may not go through postpartum depression, even if they know somebody that is going through there, just knowing ways to be that support system and just really understanding like what it means, even though you can't physically feel what they're going through, just being there for them. And like we said, just kind of, definitely being that help when it comes to getting things done around the house and just really just, helping them get to a place of, just having peace with it, even though like I know it can be a hard battle like for months or even for you a year. Like I said, just going through that, like I said, definitely is a challenge. And I guess that kind of leads me to